Welcome everybody to this event by Visit Ostia Antica APS, sponsored by the region Lazio. This is a webinar for the promotion of tourism in the Lazio region. We are going to stay together for a couple of days to learn about the treasures of this incredible area surrounding Rome. So you know that Rome is famous all over the world, is the caput mundi, but around Rome there are many very interesting things to see. Starting from Ostia Antica, one of the biggest Roman archaeological sites, a perfectly preserved ancient Roman town. But there is more than that, and we are going to discover together a lot of things. This webinar is thought primarily for people working in the field of tourism. So this is why the region Lazio sponsored this event. So our association won a grant, a funding for the promotion of tourism in this area. So we have organized those webinars, 2 days in English and 2 days in Italian, for foreigners and Italian people working in the field of tourism. And these webinars are just an introduction for something else, so-called educational. So we have organized some days to spend here in the area around Rome, Ostia, Fiumicino, but also Norba, for example, or Nettuno and Anzio. So we are going to learn about all those sites, and for those people who are interested, there will be those educationals. So we are going to offer you this experience thanks to the fundings of the region Lazio, but you have to reach the site of Ostia on your own, and once you will be here, okay, everything will be paid and organized for you. So just write an email to the address info@visitostiaantica.org. We have a new internet website. I'm going to show you that. If you want to join the educationals, you have to write us an email, okay? But we are going to repeat this during those days together a lot of times. Anyway, you always can see things about our activities on our website, www.visitostiaantica.org. And now, okay, I am here with my colleague Paola Salvatori. I am Stefania Gialdroni, but I am going to talk about us and Margherita Bertoncini, the third element of this triad of Visit Ostia Antica. Triad. We know about the triad because, you know, there is an example about the Capitoline triad. This is a female triad, but even the Roman one is two women and just a man in the most important triad of the ancient times, at least. So, which is Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva, by the way. And so now I am going to share the slide and show you something more, or explain you something more about us and about these events. Okay, so I'm going, sorry to, yeah, maybe I will open the slides first, so just have patience. And okay, So, can you see my screen? No.
Mariagita is okay.
Okay, great. Yeah, now I'm going to present. And here we are. Okay, so as you probably know already, these series of events has a title, and this title is The Hero's Shore. This is the name that we gave to our project, and this is a project for the development of a different kind of tourism, in the sense that we want to promote tourism and cultural heritage outside Rome. Because from the point of view of tourism, Rome is like a monster, like a black hole that takes everything. But, this area of the Lazio region is very rich in cultural heritage, both from the point of view of archaeology and art in general, and from the point of view of landscape and nature. So I'm sure that you will discover things that you didn't imagine exist around Rome. So here you have already some images of these heroes shore. On the left, you have a statue of Mithras, a very, very important god that was worshipped in ancient Rome in the imperial period. And this is a statue in Ostia, Antica, in a very, very fascinating, charming Mitreum. Okay, and then you have a sunset, the famous sunsets of Ostia, at least for the inhabitants of Ostia, because Ostia is a neighborhood of Rome on the sea, on the Tyrrhenian Sea. So we can admire every day very, very beautiful sunsets here. And then you have another statue, this time referable to Minerva, in the Museum of Lavinium, linked to the very origin of Rome. So why the hero's shore? Because thinking about the characters of this area, we thought, during our brainstormings, that there is a peculiarity here, okay? Because this is an area where the history of Rome started. You heard probably about the Aeneid by Virgil, and so there is an epic about the foundation of Rome, which is between history and legend, really. And this mixture is expressed by this very nice museum in Lavinium, southern from Rome, not very much known, I would say, but it's a very, very nice little museum with an important archaeological area next to it, the so-called 13 altars, and the Aeron of Aeneas. So, first hero, and what a hero! He was one of the survivors of Troy. I mean, I challenge you to find a more incredible epic than the Iliad, okay, and known all around the world. So Aeneas survives the destruction of Troy, and after traveling all around the Mediterranean, he arrives on the shores of Latium, okay, and starts the epic that will bring to the foundation of Rome. So, and then we have, Ostia, the first colony of Rome at the mouth of the river Tiber, and all the heroes that started this adventure of this new colony. And Maria Rita this afternoon will tell you everything about Ostia and the harbors of ancient Rome, so Portus and its necropolis. And then we will not focus only on archaeology. It's a long, long history here. And so we will see that there is the Renaissance period when things flourished again. And here in Ostia, for example, the protagonist, surely, or one of the protagonists, is Pope Julius II, very famous Pope, the warrior Pope. So we have another hero. And then you will see that the area surrounding Rome became a swampland for a very long period. And this swamp was reclaimed by a bunch of workers coming from another region of Italy, from Emilia-Romagna, from the area of Ravenna. They challenged malaria to do the reclaim, and so they are heroes too. They are heroes of a local epic, but an epic that is very much felt by people living here. And then we will also go a little bit outside the area of Ostia. We will go in the direction of Norba, Sermoneta, to see very beautiful things in the inland, and we will tell you about other stories. And then we will go back to the shore to find other heroes. And this time it will be about the Second World War and the landing of Anzio, the Battle of Anzio, not known as the beachhead in the northern part of France, Normandy, but a very important one, because with there was a beachhead in Sicily, and there was another beachhead in Anzio, southern from Rome, some 60-70 kilometers southern from Rome. The Allies arrived here to free Italy from Nazi fascism. A lot of young people died here, and there are cemeteries and memorials in Anzio and Nettuno celebrating those contemporary heroes. So this is just to give you an idea of why we chose this name. But let's go on, and we should first say something about us. So this is us, as the title of a famous sitcom says. Okay, so who we are. Visit Ostia Antica is an association for the promotion of the cultural heritage of the Roman coast, with epicenter Ostia Antica, the archaeological site, but also the Renaissance village. So we started this adventure almost 10 years ago, me and Paola, and then Maria Rita joined the group. And there are, of course, other people in this association. We grew a lot in the last period. We have 2 young ladies in charge of our social media. So we are very happy that our activities are growing. And but I mean, this webinar in particular, and all these events have been organized by the 3 of us. So Maria Rita Bertoncini, myself, and Paola Salvatori. So you will meet Maria Rita today in the afternoon. Maria Rita is an archaeologist and is a tour guide. I am a historian, in particular a legal historian and a tour guide. And Paola Salvatori is also an archaeologist and a tour guide. here we are in the Mitreum I was talking about. Is an underground Mitreum, a very, very interesting place to visit. So we are really doing our best to promote this area that we think has a lot of potential. So what we do here, you can see some of the activities that we have started and developed in the last years. So, of course, our focus is on the archaeological site of Ostia Antica, but there is more. We have a brand new website, so you can see the address here, and we hope you will like it. I mean, it is online now, but I mean,
24 hours.
24 hours probably.
24
So
hours,
we hope to improve more and more these communication. And on our website, you can directly also book our tours, but of course, it's always possible to call us or write us on WhatsApp or via email. And we have also a Facebook page and also an Instagram account and also a YouTube channel. And these webinars will be online. And I'm trying to do something, maybe I hope I'm not going to destroy the computer, but I wanted to show you the new website. So, sorry. Here we are. This is the home page. So, as you can see, okay, this is in Italian, but there is also an English version. So this is in reality an experiment because it's the first time that I am really connecting to the website, to the new website, and for Paola too.
Yes, for me it's the very first time.
Okay, we have worked on this.
Online,
so yeah, okay.
Online.
So hopefully, so it's like on TV, really. We are doing
we hope you like it.
Yeah, so you see the tours with focus on Ostia Antica, Portus, and Rome, of course. Okay, we have to, yeah, you see, we have our tours. There are not a lot of tours because we are very much focused on some experiences, some proposals. So you have a religious tour, let's say, on the different religions in Ostia, from Mithraism to Christianity. We have a special tour for families. So, more interactive, more for kids. We have our classic tour, the best of Ostia Antica, of course, and the necropolis of Portus, but also in Rome, the Colosseum, and so on and so forth. So you see, Ostia Antica, Portus, and Rome are our main choices. Okay, and so you can explore these better, but we are still working on this because this is new. We had another site before. We are trying to keep updated with the latest technological developments, let's say, and then we can have a look at our Facebook page. So of course, here you have a lot of posts now about these webinars. You have also, the opportunity to visit our Instagram account. So, yes, okay, this is what I wanted to tell you about our social media. And now we can switch again and go back to our slides. Okay. So we were here. Okay. So, So just having a look at our at these collage, you can see, for example, the Church of San Aurea on the top left, and this in this case it's Paola doing a tour. You have you can see people doing pictures, taking pictures and videos in a forest. This is the pine wood of Castel Fusano. You can see Maria Rita. And this is when we shot videos for another event sponsored by the region Lazio that you can see on the right side, Il Gusto della Cultura. Also, this is on our YouTube channel, Visit Ostia Antica. We created really like little documentaries on the three lives of Ostia. So ancient Rome, Renaissance, and the period of the reclaim in the 19th century. I think, what do you think, Paola? It was quite nice. We are happy with that.
No, we are absolutely happy about it. And
So-
it was I have to say that most probably we are really proud about it.
Yeah, we are.
Also because nobody knows this area. Each time that we have the occasion to bring people on this in tour in this amazing landscape, everybody at the end of the tour are always totally surprised and amazed from the beautiness that
and how big it is.
It's big, and it's also completely perfectly preserved. But the most interesting things that is preserved also in the natural surroundings. We are always surrounded by beautiful trees, the vegetation, the pine wood, the forest that arrive to the beach side, so to the Roman coastline. So it's a really a great experience. It becomes not only a tour, not only a touristic tour, but it is a really what we can call experience.
Yes, really good. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Going back to the slides, we can see also, kind of ship. This is the
This is another
Liburna.
adventure. This is a real adventure.
This is an adventure.
We love adventures, and that's why you will see also Maria Rita with Stefania sitting on a table. Comitato Promotore Parco. This is our, our.
It's a committee for the promotion of the cultural heritage of the archaeological park of Ostia Antica. It's something we joined from the very beginning. Also, it's like 10 years. And among the objectives of this committee, there is now the support for the the building of a Liburna, which is an ancient ship. So there is
worship. It's a worship.
It's a worship. Okay. So there are no other examples coming from antiquity, because these were ships thought for the sea, for the salty sea. So they are destroyed, and it's very difficult to understand how they really were made. Anyway, there is a craftsman in Fiumicino, which is the city where the big airport is, that is building, like this ship like it was in ancient times. And so this committee is supporting this example of, how do you call it? Experimental archaeology. So Liburna, you can find a lot of information online, so have a look. Then you have the beautiful mosaic of Ostia Antica, one of the hidden ones. This is not easy to find.
Yes.
So you have to ask us, because if not, you won't be able probably to find it easily. And then you have the bikes, because we promote also different kind of tourism. So a lot of walks, trekking or hiking, and bike tours. Kids, as you can see. Then there is Ferragostia, which is an event sponsored by the municipality of Rome, we have joined for many years now, always proposing in the week of Ferragosto, which is the week of the 15th of August, when it's really very hot here still. And people are usually on the beach, but they are also usually on holiday. And so the Association Affabulazione proposes cultural events at the Renaissance village of Ostia Antica. And we always do special tours, which are performative tours, in the sense that we always write new texts which are then interpreted by an actress, Giulia Vanni, usually, interpreting an important, an interesting character of the area, a woman. So in these images, you can see Alda Piola Caselli, a noble woman who had a role in the first period of the history of the Lido of Ostia, in front of the big church of Ostia, Regina Pacis. And in another picture, is Dora, who was one of the women leading those workers reclaiming the swampland of Ostia Antica. Leading in the sense that the workers were organized in a way around a woman that had to cook, that had to, clean the house, that worked with them, that wrote the letters to the families at home, and so on and so forth. So we do a lot of things. So please, if you have questions and curiosities, just ask us. And okay, then I will go on. In reality, okay, I have many things to say still, but I won't be too long. So we are still talking in general about these territories. So this is something that could be really interesting, I suppose, for people interested in tourism. Maybe I can talk a little bit more because there are not so many people connected. So maybe we can we can go on a little bit more and then arrive to
waiting for the others.
We wait for the others, and then because of course we are always we are also waiting for people coming from very, very distant places, connecting from very, very distant places. And so, for example, in South America, it's now very, very early in the morning. So people are joining a little bit later. And so, about the strengths and weaknesses of these territories. The strengths, we will focus more on the strengths in the next slide, but anyway, there is a very good airport. There is an important harbor also at the Civitavecchia touristic harbor with a lot of cruise ships arrive. There are many connections from the coast of Rome to Rome, okay? At least two big streets, two big roads, the Cristoforo Colombo and the Via del Mare, and there is a train connecting Ostia with the center of Rome, for example, but also a train connecting the center of Rome with the southern part that we are going to explore, so Anzio and Nettuno. As far as Ostia is concerned, as being Ostia neighborhood of Rome, the price of the train is very, very low. It's really cheap because it's the same price as the ticket for the metro. So it's €1.50 to arrive to a place which is like 25 kilometers southern from Rome, and even more from the center.
Absolutely popular.
So in this sense, and you arrive exactly at Ostia Antica. like 4 or 5 minutes walking from the excavations. So we have a very rich archaeological heritage that you can see spread all around the territory. In Ostia, there is a really intact Renaissance village, but there are towers and castles all around the area. There is a rich natural heritage. In particular, there is this park, this riserva del litorale romano, so called, including the pine wood of Castel Fusano, which is one of the biggest pine wood in Europe for sure. And so this area around Rome is competitive also for the prices of the hotels, of the restaurants, compared to the center of Rome. But there are also weaknesses in the sense that we should improve our model of tourism, the traditional one, so art, culture, landscape, improving the site about traditions, about interactive experiences, about sports, about, for example, street art. And so, for example, Paola will also talk about these during the next meetings of the webinars. So I said that there are infrastructures, they are cheap, they exist, but they have also weaknesses. We have to say this. They run late, and so from this point of view, also an improvement is needed. There are insufficient road signs. This is something Paola is always complaining about. I think it's true. What do you mean about insufficient?
That is insufficient for those that arrive, that tourists that arrive in this place need to have some information. And once they arrive to the train station, for example, they don't have any kind of help to reach the entrance of the archaeological park that is exactly in front of them, 5 minutes walk, also less. But you don't know in which way, in which direction you have to go. So I don't want to be so too much polemic.
Yeah,
like I used to be.
I have to say that there was an improvement also from this point of view in the last years.
Yes,
okay.
But unfortunately, we have to say that sometimes they try to develop signs that at least are always missing. Or always leaving on the back something else. For example, we had 2 years ago, before of the pandemic, arrived this huge shield in which have been a series of information in order to reach the archaeological park. Unfortunately, on this map, disappear completely the castle of Julius II. That is not so small, and is also a point of reference. So you can have now from a topographical point of view, you know that the castle is over there and you have to go straight. But if you don't have anymore a sign that is giving you the right direction, it's you lose also the meaning of the sign. So it seems sometimes that they try their best to do something that at least is not complete.
Yeah, and this is also true for the other sites within the archaeological park of Ostia Antica, because the archaeological park of Ostia Antica, which is an extraordinary site, a very, very beautiful place, absolutely, and very important in the history of archaeology. And as Paola was saying, people always enjoy it. We really love it. And it comprehends Ostia Antica, which was the ancient colony, the city at the mouth of the river Tiber, but it includes also the imperial harbors of Claudius and Trajan and the so-called necropolis of Portus. And these are separate archaeological areas in reality, okay? They were a unique harbor, a unique hub in the past, but now the entrances are separate. And also they are in 2 different municipalities. Of course, tourists, they don't care about the fact that Ostia Antica is within the municipality of Rome and the other sites are within the municipality of Fiumicino. and they are divided by the river Tiber. Of course, this is not important for a tourist, but you can imagine that from the point of view of the organization of tourism,
becomes a problem.
It can become a problem, of course. And also about the directions, where do I enter? In the necropolis, there is a sign, but I mean, it
quite difficult to see.
Yeah, it could be improved. So and then so in general, we can summarize this saying that marketing strategies should be improved, okay, in general, of course, by all people working in this sector. And also some areas have limited access. Also, this has improved in the last period, because previously the harbors of Clodius and Trajan and the necropolis of Portus were not accessible every day. Now they are accessible every day. The archaeological park is doing a lot in this sense, but of course we are not only talking about Ostia, but also about other sites around. And this is a problem in a place, in an area, in a region, or in a country like Italy, with such an incredibly rich heritage, because it's so wide and so spread all around, tombs, towers, little churches,
storage system.
It's difficult, of course, to open everything on a regular basis, maintain the sites, control them, etc., etc. So we really have worked together to better all those things. There are a lot of opportunities in this area, for sure, like the development of slow and off-season tourism, and this is what this event, this Heroes Shore, is about. So this is certainly an area that can be visited all year long, in the sense that the climate is very nice. At least until November, there can be absolutely amazing days, and again in during the spring, but also winter can be a nice period to visit.
Warm and
these areas. So certainly off-season tourism, slow tourism. You can have walks. You can go on the beach to have a coffee in the winter, for example, when there are not so many other tourists coming from Rome. Because
anyway, also in summer it's not so crowded.
Yeah, this is the point, because
it's never crowded.
Ostia is the beach of Rome. Is where people go to relax. When in Rome it's super hot, they come here and they to relax, to go and have fun. And so there are a lot of people coming in June, August, July, but during the winter it can be really nice, and you are really almost alone. You can relax. There are those sandy beaches for kilometers and kilometers. And if you go a little bit southern from the city of Ostia, let's say the city from the center of Ostia, there are the dunes and this typically Mediterranean environment, let's say. And so you have a lot of alternatives to the archaeological parks, and also the possibility to bring people that have some disabilities. We can organize a special tours for people with moderate disabilities or elderly people and things like that. Of course, there are threats like the proximity of Rome. Of course, Rome is both an opportunity and a threat, because people come to Rome and they can also visit the surroundings in a more relaxed way, but also they come to Rome for 3 days. They have a lot of things to see in Rome, so they don't come here. Even though if they want to see a perfectly preserved ancient Roman town, Ostia is there. In half an hour, you are in another dimension. And so we should improve the technological development. Administration sometimes in Italy is a little bit slow, and so these are the main problems here. And then in reality, this slide is just to deepen this issue. So the importance of the airport of Fiumicino. You can see an arrow with in this map of the Lazio region. You can see in yellow the part of the coast that we will cover during those days. So what we call the hero's shore from Fiumicino to Anzio. So at Fiumicino, there is the airport, very close to Ostia, like 5 kilometers. So there is also a connection with the harbor of Civitavecchia that you see northern from Rome. There is another arrow to see Civitavecchia. Then, as I said, there is an incredible archaeological heritage. There is a medieval heritage, a Renaissance heritage, even a modern heritage. And so, really, we have a lot to offer, including the natural heritage. You see, there is the sea, of course, there are lakes, there are a lot of rivers, there are mountains also. Maybe this is not so well known, but around Rome, there are some mountains. There are the so-called Castelli, but also other mountains, and we are going there. You see next to Velletri, the Monti Lepini, and this is what we are going a little bit to experience during these days. And finally, the development, as I said, of an off-season tourism, a slow tourism, a tourism about traditions. And here you see the traditional way of fishing at the mouth of the river Tiber, the so-called bilancione. This is our friend Mario, who was there to show us how it works.
Fishing on the river.
It's fishing on the river Tiber. Here we are really at the mouth.
Yeah, this is the mouth of the river.
We also had the experience, Paola more than me.
Beautiful. It's very beautiful. It's a nice way to have connection with the nature and to stay close to the water. You are in a perfect place. It's absolutely quiet, and it's also you are in the middle of the city because it's fully everywhere. There are services. You have restaurants. You can reach easily a bar. You can stay. So it's everything perfectly. You see on the opposite side of this, on these pictures, the side of Ostia. Here we are on the side of the sacred island, what we call sacred island. That is already in the municipality of Fiumicino, as Stefania.
But it's an island, but it's not an island.
It's because not an island. It's an artificial island. It's something that the Romans created in the ancient times.
You will see, but you don't feel that you are in an island. It seems to be mainland, okay? No, because if you say island,
could be also, no?
It's not really an island, but you will see why it is called like this.
Anyway, it's an island. It's an island. Sort of.
Are you curious now? Is this an island?
We are preparing the road for Maria Rita.
For Maria Rita.
Okay.
So there is also the possibility of a lot of storytelling. That's why we, call this the hero's shore. Heroes in many ways, from Aeneas to the heroes of World War II. But also women, for example. You saw maybe before the picture of our actress interpreting this Sdora or Asdora, a woman called like this in the dialect of Romagna, coming from this northern part of Italy to Ostia to do the reclaim. And these women were very brave. They fought against malaria. They worked all day long.
They were very strong.
They
Strong
were
ladies.
strong ladies. And so also in this sense, you see, there are a lot of possibilities of storytelling here. And I hope really you will, understand this during these days. And in this picture here, we have a group with one of our guests who was, I think, 98 years old when we took this picture. And so, I mean, this is just to prove that it's a tourism for everybody. From kids to elderly people, people with disabilities. I mean, really, everyone can find his or her dimension in Ostia Antica, as you will see. Okay, so I think that this is the end of my introduction. So now, according to our program, we have in reality a little break. Yeah, Margherita, do you confirm this? But anyway, we have a little bit. I was a little bit long. Sorry for that. But
I'm going to be short.
Okay, I'm not sure because you have a lot of time. So we can do the break for 5 minutes, more or less, or 10 minutes. Maybe we come back at, it's now, no, sorry, it's 10:28. And so maybe we can take a 10 minutes break and
40.
Start again at 10:40, okay? So I will interrupt the registration, and we will come back at 10:40. Bye. Okay.
Registration.
Yes. So welcome again to our webinars, The Heroes Shore, sponsored by the region Lazio. We are Stefania and Paola. Margherita is connected,
with us.
is with us, and we are going to explore now the territory, say something about the tours, because these webinars are just an introduction to the educationals. So the real experience are the educationals that are previewed, that will take place in the month of November. So really off season, but usually November is still a month when the climate here is very nice, not so hot, but beautiful days. And these educationals will take place from the 15th until the 18th of November. So if you want to join them, we have place for 10 people, and we are waiting for your emails. Just write an email to info@visitostiantica.org. You can find everything on our Facebook page, Visit Ostia Antica APS. And also you can write us, and we will provide you with all information. The educationals are organized like that. You should arrive to Ostia on your own. Okay, so but in the moment you will arrive, we will organize everything for you. So you will be posted in a hotel in Ostia Lido, on the beach, in front of the sea, and from there we will start the exploration of the territory, of the surroundings of Rome, all the places that we are going to show you during those webinars. So the moment you will arrive, you will be in our hands.
You're going to stay with us.
You are going to stay with us
4 days and 3 nights.
And I'm sure we are going to have fun. We want really to enjoy this experience with you. And so we are going to repeat this, but if you are interested, just write us.
Right. Yes.
And now I am going to present our beautiful archaeologist.
A huge responsibility, because she was explaining so much, so well, and we are going get into this deep into the itineraries that we arranged for these 4 days, 3 nights in Rome, in Ostia. And I'm going to introduce, we start exactly how we are going to do it once you will be here with us. So it means that we are going to start from the Borgo, the so-called Borgo, that is also the most iconic space in this landscape, in this territory, in this neighborhood of Rome. It's one of the most famous for the people living here. The castle of Julius II is absolutely a point. And we would like that also the people start to learn something more, because they see it from outside and stay more or less isolated in the middle of this landscape. That's why we want to introduce it, first of all, the Renaissance village of Julius II.
And now we need the slides.
Yes.
So, one moment.
We need a technological support.
Yeah.
To give you some pictures.
I have to, sorry. This is my fault. I have to share the screen. And now we are going to see this. And
this is our Borgo. So, first of all,
here we are.
Here we are. This is the amazing, perfect, preserved castle of Julius II. This is the fortress, surrounded by the moat, and this space around the water that have to be surrounded previously by water at the origin of everything. But let us start from the beginning, because this is something really interesting. Now you have to imagine at the end of the Roman Empire, there will be a very long period during which Ostia, the ancient harbor of Rome, will be abandoned or anyway destroyed by the invasions, the barbarian invasions. So also pirates arrived, and the sea was very close to the coastline. In a different ways today, the coastline, the seaside is 4 or 5 kilometers far. So where we are exactly? We are 5 kilometers far from the sea. Yes. Going. The castle of Julius II rises in the alluvial plain of the Tiber River, and it is in the municipality of Rome, as we already explained. We are 24 kilometers far from Rome, this city, so important, but anyway, 5 kilometers from the sea. So it's also now a perfect position, a strategical position for this potential, touristic potential. So this burg, this castle, is a perfectly preserved Renaissance village made around the 9th century medieval village built by Gregory IV, the so-called Gregoriopolis. So what you have to imagine for the very beginning was a small tower surrounded by villagers and village that have to be preserved, or anyway that have to be surrounded by small city walls created by Gregorio IV in the 9th century. So this was called Gregoriopolis, and we have to arrive to the Renaissance time, and especially at the time of the Cardinal Giuliano della Rovere, later Pope Julius II, in order to renew the castle. And he will be the ones that decided to start with from the fortress, from the huge tower. The project for the castle was commissioned to Giuliano da Sangallo the Younger, a very important architect of the Renaissance time, that was particularly had a great attention for the military fortress. So let us say that our this castle is also very important for the was considered very modern at the time. So at least will be Baccio Pontelli that in the 1486 built the castle, and is a modern military architecture. The fortress stood along the river bank at least until the 1557. This is the time of a devastating flood, that the shifting with the shifting of the Tiber River to more to the northwest, where it nowadays is flowing. And for these reasons, the castle that was created in order to control the entry of the River Tiber lost its priority. So lays for a very long time inside of an area that will becomes an area full of water. So what you have to imagine, a marshy area, so a swamp with a malaria, like also Stefania tried to explain. Oh, never to forget, we are talking about a place where for a very long time the Roman take care for the extraction of the salt. So the salt flats, the saline was a great activity that was totally abandoned during the Middle Age, and especially immediately after the falling of the Roman Empire. So that's why now what you have to imagine is an abandoned territory that was the Pope tried to arrange in order to preserve this space, and also the inhabitants. We have to imagine few people still working and living here. So here from these area pictures give us the occasion to see how the village is composed. It was rebuilt in the Renaissance time. The first one that tried to enlarge also a little bit the village was Sistus IV, the uncle from Julius II, always belonging to the family della Rovere. The fortress, as you can see from the aerial picture, has a triangular shape with 3 towers at the corners. The biggest one is called Chio Mastio. The castle obviously was located, as we already said, along the left bank of the Tiber and in front of the sea at the time, at the function of customs duty and also a defense and salt marsh management. This is was the most important.
Sorry,
thing.
can I have a
yes.
just to say something?
Yes, about
because you see, it's kind of a perfectly preserved Renaissance village, because after the flood of the River Tiber, it was abandoned. So nowadays, the village looks like it was at the end of the 15th century and is inhabited. There are people living there. It's not nowadays an abandoned place. It's full of life. So there are restaurants, there are bars, and we are like 500 meters away from the archaeological site. So you exit the archaeological site
and you enter
in the Renaissance village. And this is very, very important, because some people, they just skip the Renaissance village because they are interested in the archaeological site, and they don't even notice the castle because there are some trees. Because of the
the tower is very big. It's out of sight. It's something that is was created in this way in order to watch the territory.
So the tower is big, so but because of the trees, sometimes people don't even notice that there is the castle. But there is the castle there. It's very nice. And you have, Paola will explain, you have the castle. There is a very, very nice little church. And then you can see here 3 rows of houses that were built also in the Renaissance period. And they are inhabited now. So normal people
is living there, and the most of activities that we also do together with the municipality or in many other occasions like Ferragosti Antica, like before also Stefania introduced, are made here inside of this Renaissance village that is absolutely perfectly preserved and offer also the occasion to have an experience. There is a nice restaurant on the inside, more than one, two in reality. And so it's a perfect preserved Renaissance village. And this is the church. That Stefania already know, the Cathedral of Sant'Aurea, because this place is very important. The Bishop of Ostia it would be the ones that celebrate the Pope. And there were we have in the history of this of the Renaissance village, we have nine popes that was before the Bishop of Ostia. So the diocese of Ostia is very, very important for the Roman Catholic Church. And never to forget that Julius II is also the Pope that commissioned Michelangelo for the Sistine Chapel. And before him, Sixtus IV is the one that gave the name to the Sistine Chapel. It's the reason why we call this Capitoline Chapel, this holy place in the middle of the Vatican City, Sistine Chapel. So it's since the beginning, and Maria Rita is going to explain it then later for the Roman side. Ostia will be ever a very important city for Rome as a logistics space, as a harbor, but also from a political point of view. And this is go further on also in the time of the Renaissance, the Middle Age and the Renaissance, with the Catholic establishment. So what I like to show you is also the obviously this is a very typical Renaissance church, and if you look at this the way they're stylistic the style that they this Renaissance style. Yeah, I can't see the picture. Because you see that I also offer here on the side of this slide the picture of the tomb of Anna Regilla that is preserved in Rome, and it is coming from one of the most famous necropolis of Rome. And just to give you an idea how during the Renaissance they developed this kind of art. They have to reproduce the ancient style of the Roman, typical of the Roman Empire. So this classical style that have to reproduce at least the shape of a temple with a square building supported and features with a series of pillars and columns supporting a pediment and a roof. So the church, the Catholic, the church dedicated to Sant'Aurea. Who is this Sant'Aurea? She's a martyr of Ostia. You know that Ostia is a multi-ethnic city. Was a multi-ethnic city for a very long time. As an harbor, obviously, all those people living in the Mediterranean want to reach Rome. And this is the reason why Ostia is also a very perfect place where to have a connection or have the occasion to learn about the various religions of the ancient time. Obviously, have been also a huge community within the first century AD, and the first century been also in Ostia, a very important community of Christians. Between Sant'Aurea was martyred by the Emperor Claudius II, the Gothic, in the 268, together with many others. So we have the Martirologio, so we have books, ancient books, and the Liber Pontificalis that is talking about the martyrdom of this lady, together with others Christians in the land of Ostia. She was coming from Rome, and her family got a property in the countryside of Ostia, and the body would be then buried along the main road, so the Ostiensis road that used to link the ancient city of Ostia to Rome. So along this road, you have to imagine in the 3rd century have been used to be a huge necropolis. Over there, Sant'Aurea was also buried. And that's why the very first, what we have to imagine as a first original church was a cemetery, surrounding the road, and where the Constantine built in the 4th century the very first basilica church, cemetery church, dedicated, that will be dedicated later to Sant'Aurea. Oh, another interesting thing that we have to remember is also Saint Augustine is talking in his Confessions, in his book, about Ostia, and especially for the to celebrate, to remember the death of his mother, Santa Monica, that died in November 387, while they were waiting here to be embarked to return to Africa. This is now to show also that Ostia was a very important harbor in that place, in connection Rome with all the province of the ancient city. So this cathedral was...
No, it's okay. It's okay.
From here we have another view that is very beautiful. Now you have the occasion to see from another point from the inside of the space that is surrounding the fortress, looking in the direction of the cathedral. The cathedral, as you can see on the back, the bell tower, but also the Episcopal palace of Ostia, of the village. We are looking at.
Yeah, no, I'm looking to the chat. Rossella said stunning.
Stunning.
It is. It really is.
Yes.
Also,
and this is the Episcope of Ostia, the Ilario Hall. So you know that in November 1503, there was the election of Pope Julius II della Rovere. In 1511, we entrust his nephew, Raphael Viario, with the diocese of Ostia. So the new bishop decided to embellish his private apartment that have to be inside of the Episcope, the papal palace, with magnificent fresco. These frescoes are black and white. They are monochrome.
Yeah,
we can call it in this way.
They are called monochrome, but it's
monochrome.
It's two colors. It's black and
white at least, and is reproducing a series of panels with the stories of Trajan, the great emperor, the Optimus Princeps of the
best
Roman time,
of the emperors.
The best of the emperors. That few is in a list of a few emperors that wasn't killed at the end of his career, but he dies because of disease. Unbelievable. It was also quite old for his for that age when he becomes emperor. Anyway, while we have inside of this private apartment of the Pope pictures remembering the stories talking about the two-war campaign of Trajan in Dacia, so in what we know nowadays as Romania. And it's amazing that the Romans was totally fascinated by this province, especially because this province was very, very important for the substance of Rome, so to support the
because they
empire.
had mines with gold and silver,
so
they took a lot of treasures.
And they decided also to donate to this country the name of Romania to remember Rome in this way. Anyway, these panels are amazing because they are recent discovered. They were discovered. They was found in the 1977. So absolutely in a modern time. Yesterday, we can say, they find it back just because they need to be restored. They have been, they had some problems from the roof and water, rainwater coming inside. That's why they started with some restoration.
Yeah,
so
because they were covered.
They were covered. They were totally
for
covered
many centuries.
with plaster. There were plasters that were covering, so it was a normal, huge hole used by the priests of Ostia, of the cathedral. And then once they started with this restoration, they find back that cleaning very well and taking off these layers of plasters, they find out that on the immediately on the back have been something else, something that they suppose, because Vasari was talking about this picture, this beautiful fresco that was made by Baldassare Peruzzi at the time during the Renaissance time, but they all believe that have to be preserved inside of the castle, inside the fortress. Nobody was thinking about the episcopal palace, and that's why it was absolutely a great surprise. So they started with the cleaning of this. They dismantled the plaster, so they clean it very well, and they find on the back these amazing pictures. And these are also these are view this was also a little bit the fashion at the time. During the Renaissance, they loved to reproduce the environment to insert to place inside of the fresco like a sort of window that open on the landscapes surround the village, the Renaissance village. So here we have also the occasion to understand better how I have to look the countryside at the time of Julius II. And these are you see this scene of the battle, the war, the scene of the emperor. All these scenes obviously are exemplified by looking at the Trajan column of Rome that is preserved in the Foro of Rome. As Stefania also said, this which is the connection between Trajan and the Pope Julius II. He was considered a warrior pope because he was interested in expanding the territories of the Vatican state, and yes, he was someone that used to he liked also to reproduce himself, looking like a warrior with a cuirass, with an armor, so with a helmet and weapons in his hands. So it's absolutely a warrior pope. Was so considered. And here I am. Now, these are pictures that are now in these pictures you can see much more better also the sides of this hall.
Okay, can I say something about this? Just one word, because I think this was one of the Ferragostia.
Yes, this is one of those activities that we arranged together with the theater.
Yeah, there is a public and municipal theater in Ostia, so we are working together with the actors. And in this case, there were readings taken from various works connected to the column of Trajan that inspired. I mean, the frescoes are inspired by the column of Trajan. So the stories, the battles against the Daci told in the column of Trajan, and then reproduced as frescoes. And for one of those special tours, and also for our other event sponsored by the region Lazio, we wrote a text. In this case, it was Margherita, about the daughter of Pope Julius II, Felice della Rovere. So if you want to know more, on our YouTube channel, there is the second life of Ostia about the Renaissance period. And so you can also see Felice della Rovere.
This is also something that is belonging to our experience. Now we are going always searching for something new, at least searching between the archives, the books and reading here and there. We find out at least people that are really that live, that was really
and are unknown. I mean, people linked to the territory, but
There was also now a picture that Maria Rita find out
Yeah,
in
yeah.
in a fresco where most probably this Felice della Rovere, this hidden daughter of Julius II, was appeared. No?
Yeah, it was portrait with
was
a kind
portrait.
of interesting. I don't know,
Dress.
Maria Rita. Do you
She
remember how she was dressed? She was dressed like in a modern way, I think.
No,
black,
not that much, but the much use of black.
black.
So
This
it was particular for this reason, because she was dressed black. That was not so conventional, let's say, so usual.
Because in theory it was not because of widowry or something.
No. But seems that was a color that she liked.
Okay,
that she prefers, like
that she prefers, yeah.
Oh, this is quite interesting. Okay, so
another lady,
black lady.
Power lady.
Oh yeah,
power lady.
For
like
sure. Okay, so sorry, go on.
So obviously this itinerary is starting from the Borgo, from the Renaissance village, and it's going further on, walking, sightseeing in this archeotrekking or hiking. These are experiences that we develop, especially in the occasion of the pandemic. Under the restrictions, we had enough time to find out new solution and new ways to rule the people, or to guide the people into different itineraries. Obviously, everything was closed. I don't know if you remember this terrible moment that we crossed together. So the museums, everything was closed, included also the archaeological park of Ostia. So it was impossible, absolutely, to have tours over there, and that's why we were starting to think to use, or anyway, to cross the pine wood, as you see on the left-hand side. Now the pine wood, the forest pine that we have, in which are still preserved Roman roads, or also villas. This maritime villas, how we used to call it, because you have to know that the most amazing things are not only the preservation, how the architectonic, but also archaeological evidence are so well preserved, but also the condition of the landscape that was completely different in the ancient time. So the seaside was very close to the street, to the city of Ostia, and to the castle. And during that, what you have to imagine is also a series of villas along the seaside that used to be a nice place where to go for the wealthy people, or the aristocracy of Rome, especially during the summer. So this was, since ever, is a place where the people used to arrive, or anyway, where they used to stay for holiday, to enjoy, far from the chaos of the city of Rome. So it seems like that have to be a natural condition. So the pine wood, that obviously is was introduced in this area in the 1770 something. So it was in the 1800 that was introduced by the family Sacchetti. They are banker coming from Florence. And they have a property inside of this space, but obviously they had the same problems like for all the others, that most of the landscape was composed by only a marshy area with a lot of water everywhere, and before to arrive to reach the beach. So in this inner land, they tried their very best to develop something new, something that has to be also a sort of production. Yeah, so an agriculture production, in order to use the land.
Exactly, they wanted to gain some money, yes, because another activity that people did in this area traditionally was hunting. And they also rent the land in order to hunting, to give hunting and also fishing. Yeah, okay. They can fish into this not so deep water, but anyway they fish. And the pine trees, these domestic pine trees, is special because produce pine cone. So from the production of pine cone, they can gain some money. And that this was they
So this family tried to introduce in this countryside also a way of production, a sort of production. Nowadays, as you can see, it's an amazing place where to have walking. So you can arrange, as we are going to do, nice, beautiful tour, archaeological tour, including also this Sacchetti Chigi villa. This is the property of this family. And we have on a side an ancient painting belonging to the 1700s that shows exactly where I have to be the seaside. You see how close to this is very beautiful, because it's giving to us the occasion to understand, because until that moment the sandy beaches of Ostia was very close to the side of ancient Ostia, because we are more or less at the same level of the ancient Arbor, but also on the same line of the Renaissance village, a little bit more in the south, moving in the south. And this is the condition of this beautiful castle or palace that is still very well preserved in the middle of this pine wood that now grows, because you see how the landscape had to look like during that time. In the 17th century, there was no trees almost. They planted, so they grows, and that's why nowadays we have a fantastic pine forest that is containing all these treasures.
So just one thing, this is a private property.
Yes,
so I mean, it can be visited, but with permission,
yes,
etc. So.
But they are open. They open it. They did also an open day in order to give a sign that they offer, they want to have people that go to for
visiting, and they're also organizing concerts.
And this is the inside. Inside there are amazing maps. There is also here a gallery of the maps, more or less like in the Vatican.
Yeah, it was the fashion of the period.
The fashion of the period. That's why they embellished the inside of this marvelous hall with these painted maps, geographical maps. Very important documents, because they give a great occasion to understand how have to be from a topographical point of view the space all around this area. And these are also in our hiking experience, we are going to cross a series of, as you can see now, structures that have to be that are preserved inside of this forest, and we are going to experience the Villa of Procoio and the Villa of Pliny. There are two spaces that is possible to reach walking, just with an easy walk. And this is the Archeotrekking. This is another evolution of this kind of the meaning is that we want to bring the people to Ostia, because Ostia have a very interesting, like everything here around, develop and also origin. The most are not remembering that, or the most are thinking that Ostia have to be have a foundation due to the fascist period, to Mussolini. This is absolutely false, because the modern site of Ostia was born from the design vision of the engineer Paolo Orlando, coming from Liguria, from the north. He was an engineer, and he got this vision, the garden city overlooking the sea. This was his creation. Here, I placed this master plan of Ostia, that is the first creation. The purpose of this engineer was to create, with the pine wood on the back of Ostia, have to be a sort of space of respectful space between the Malaric space, because also if the land was already reclaimed by our heroes, the people coming from Ravenna, at least until the beginning, for the first for the first period of the 20th century, there were always a huge problem of malaria in this area. Also because they need more the population have to arrive, have to use this space. So he decided to organize the space with this forest pine wood on the back. Then the city have to be divided between a side and more a residential area for rich people on the south side, and the north one have to host a series of public structures that have to help the people, like for example also an hospital. Anyway, the major protagonists have to be the river. That for in this vision of Paolo Orlando have to be a great connection with Rome. Also because these have to become the city of Ostia have to become a modern and industrial hub with a touristic vocation. So this was the purpose. And you see also that on the front side, the side that have to overlooking the sea, the project of Paolo Orlando was provided with a series of bridges, piers. Nowadays, it's still preserved one of those, but not the original one. It was totally rebuilt. But the meaning have to be that Ostia have to be provided with a series of piers. What are piers?
Sono i pontili.
Pontili. For the English people, pontili, piers. So, and this is we are more or less in between the 1911, 1916. This project never started. So
no, I was from the beginning. There were like three projects,
three different projects at least. The ideas was always this garden city. But at least they started with the construction of the new city of Ostia only at the end of the First World War. They had a lot of problems, and one of the most interesting work began on the construction of the first basilica, entitled to the Virgin Mary and the Word Regina Pacis, that was located on the highest dune of Ostia. So it's dominating the purpose was to dominate the forum of the city that have to be featured with a governorate building and a new railway, the Roma Lido. Both these two structures will be then built or finished in the 1928. So during under the fascist period. So in the already we are deep in the period of Mussolini.
Yeah, so this is the point that okay, as you said, the project comes before. So there is the reclaim of the marshland. Then at the beginning of the 20th century, there are projects by Paolo Orlando, etc. But then there is the First World War, and so they start building in reality later, after the end of the war, and that means in a couple of years, the fascist regime will come, because 1922 the fascist regime starts, and so this is why the whole idea of the project of Ostia is also linked to fascism, because in reality many buildings were built in that period, but the projects came before, and they reclaim even before. Okay, so this is what we usually want also to underline, you know, in our tours, with this complex dimension of the origin of modern Ostia. Okay,
that is not so easy to understand, not nowadays. Also because nobody knows that after a series of events, then Ostia will become also first line in the Second World War. So it was almost completely destroyed first from the Germans when they already were thinking that the beachhead This is what I want to say. The beachhead of the alleys have to happen in front of the outlet of the Tiber River. They were sure about it. That's why they start to destroy some sides, some parts of the city, in order to stop, or trying to stop the alleys. And that's why the project, the beautiful project, the idea, the vision of our Paolo Orlando never was realized. But rooms will be included by Mussolini in the neighborhoods of the city, because you want to have a city with a beach. You need to have a neighborhood in this way. Something happened also between the new generation of young architects, in the few years between the 1922 and 1938. This was Ostia becomes a sort of free land in which these architects can also try to express themselves far from the city, the huge city of Rome, that have completely another meaning now, with these huge palaces that already belongs to the face of the ancient and eternal city. So that's why in this area, 25 kilometers far from the capital of Italy, they had the occasion to express themselves in this eclectic taste in which tradition and modernity could be channeled. So this is the reason why nowadays walking along the seafront in the neighboring streets is now possible and might admire several beautiful and elegant private housing buildings that gave rise to an architecture typical of the beginning of the last century, with an original evolution into what has been called Barocchetto Romano, or trying to translate in a Roman Baroque.
Yeah, it's this strange eclectic style.
Eccolo,
also of the Garbatella neighborhood, which is I mean it's quite in that direction, because also it's the same period.
Here they try this eclectic style reach the maximum point, because they use now the traditional pillars, the traditional also materials. They try to use now bricks and tuff stones. The color of the tuff have to be always remembered, and in order to remember the origin, so the tuff that was used by the Romans.
And also you are right when you say that here this eclectic style reaches a peak, because for example, in these houses that you can find in the historical center, so-called, of Ostia, which is next to Piazza Ancomarzio, there are usually a lot of decorations like dolphins, and
also the
Minerva. So the references to the archaeological excavations, references to the sea, and this is, I would say, absolutely unique. This is only Ostia. You cannot find this kind of decorations in Rome.
And this is what you see in our sightseeing in Ostia, and also this beautiful area that is now a pedestrian area, a shopping space where the people could meet each other, also because there are beautiful restaurants and nice place where to make shopping. And these are between these private and wealthy house, the villini, the small villas. There are also, like the Parrot Palace, there are also some suggestion from one of these architects between this generation of architects. There will be someone that introduced something that will become then later also a typical example for the construction of a seaside hotel.
And also these are public spaces.
These are public spaces.
Okay,
what I collect here are public spaces, because here under we have the Vittorio Emanuele III, that is the sort of hospital. For the very beginning, have to be in a hospital for one of the disease that was the major problem at the beginning, one of the pandemic that was a great problem for the tuberculosis. And that's why for the very beginning was this space directly in front of the sea used to be a healthy place, where to keep in a better condition these people. Used to be a space also for the children, so it becomes a colony, a colonia for the children that need orphans also. And this other, the green one, the parrot colors, calling this way because of the various colors. We finish we are a little bit late, and this is also another. This is typical of the rationalism of the fascism period. This is 1938, more or less, and it's amazing because you see the pillars. They have to remember also. They use the bricks as a material. They have to remember the ancient past of the city, Ostia, the ancient Ostia. So the most of the structures belonging to the ancient city are made of this material. But they place it in a way that have to remember the beautiful pine trees.
But you didn't say what it is. What is that building?
This is a post office.
Okay.
This is a post office. I have to say that it's very beautiful.
Yeah.
It's it's absolutely original in the shape. It's really elegant.
Yeah.
Essential. Clear.
Also
and
inside,
also
the big
side,
space.
and also the space, because it's a round shaped space. It's a corner, but it's not a. They place together rectangular shaped structures together with a round shaped one. So it's a mix of volumes, very interesting, and introduced with a series of materials that have to go back to the tradition of Rome and looking at the future, because as you can see on the inside there is a beautiful fountain with this fleece. I don't know how it's called, but it's this wonderful blue that they use for the as a to coat as a coat of the interior, and the lights also that they use all the way around that are in blue and copper.
I don't know.
This is not bronze. It's not bronze.
Okay.
It's not.
But
bronze.
was it a special glass? I think it
It's
was a kind of good one coming from a good industry.
It's a league. It's a metal league.
Oh, okay, okay.
That is in this color. It's
Okay.
also giving this color, and in the middle there is a bronze. Always a couple statue that was completely rebuilt because was sold.
It was
a lot
stolen at a certain point.
A long time ago, and they replaced it over there.
Okay, so and now it's always that I
think
it's like
finished.
this.
It's finished.
It's finished.
It's
I
finished.
thought
It's finished.
no, because I thought that you have this tomorrow. I thought that there was
No.
about street art.
No. This is street art. Will be for tomorrow, sports and fun, and this is another section.
Okay, so now we have another.
I didn't talk about the.
Sorry.
This is the interior of the Basilica of Regina Pacis. So that is Mario Rosati. That is one of the contemporary sculpture. Is an artist working in Ostia. And he's the one that also produced one of the very famous statue that have to remember the place where the body of Pierpaolo Pasolini was found in the 2 November of 1975. Killed in Ostia. So in that
this
place,
is another story.
It's always talking how amazing is this land, because we have also a literary park dedicated to Pierpaolo Pasolini, and it was created exactly around the place where his body was found back.
So it's another modern hero to a certain extent, or a secular martyr,
and he's a poetry. So it's something different.
So it's a poet, an intellectual, a director. I mean, you can like or hate Pasolini, but he was one of the leading intellectuals of Italian 20th century, and he was killed in Ostia, and there is a lot to say about that too. But I am afraid that you have to come here to know more about that, because we don't have enough time to talk about everything. But maybe if you want, we can even talk about these during the last part of this webinar, because now there is a 10 minutes break again. We will connect again at 11:40 for your questions, or we are just going to have a little chat about our experiences here. So please stay connected, and we will meet again in 10 minutes.
Thank
so
you.
I will interrupt this, and then I will also interrupt the recording. Where is it? Here. So we are here again with our webinars on the Heroes Shore. This project proposed by our association, Visit Ostia Antica, which is an association made mainly of licensed tour guides, archaeologists, historians, art historians, but also made of other people interested in the promotion of the cultural heritage of the Roman coast. This project is sponsored by the region Lazio. It was created, this funding, exactly to support tour guides after COVID or during COVID. So because of course this was a dramatic period for everyone in the world, but for the touristic sector, it was really, really hard. So again, I just want to underline that these webinars are thought to introduce our educationals. So all people involved in the touristic sector are very welcome to write us an email to info@visitostiantica.org. You can write us an email if you want to take part in the educationals, which will take place for the people involved in tourism that come from outside the boundaries of Italy. They will take place between the 15th and the 18th of November 2022. So these funding comes from the region Lazio, but we want also to underline that there is an organization of the region Lazio thought to promote tourism in this beautiful area, and it's called Visit Lazio. And so you can have a look, maybe because this is more about discussion, about your curiosities. And anyway, I think it could be interesting to have a look if you want to this website. So I want to share the screen again and show you how it looks like. So this is an official website of the region Lazio on tourism in the Lazio region, visitlazio.com. And here you can really find a lot of information about what to do outside, inside Rome. But you can see that there are a lot of beautiful villages. You can see places like Gaeta, which is also southern from Rome, not very far away. You can see the Monti Prenestini. There are rivers, there are little lakes. There are a lot of things to discover, really. So our advice is to have a look at this site. This is the Italian page, but it's also English. Culture, food, entertainment, sport, religious tourism. Of course, this is an area that was for many centuries a state belonging to the Pope. The Pope was the spiritual leader of the Catholic Church, but also a king. Okay, so of course, the area is full of convents, monasteries, you know, churches, and it's religious tourism is also important here. cammini, that means those ways, roads that you can use for beautiful walking. There are baths to relax, and if you explore this internet website, you will see also a lot of videos, short videos for the promotion of this area. Also a very, very nice video on Ostia Antica that maybe if we have time, we can even watch together later. So we can, interrupt sorry, we can interrupt the sharing of the screen. And this is our time for questions. If you have curiosities, if you want to ask something, you just interrupt us. And if not, we can give you some advice, information about the area. So, for example, I don't see any questions now. Of course, you can write on the chat if you want. And well, so
now the question is for me.
Yeah, the question. It's an interview. We haven't talked about this really. So everything is live. So it's a surprise also for.
It's always a performance.
Yeah.
We need to be also performer.
Absolutely. A tour guide is a performer. Is
it true, Maria Rita? That is a performer.
Absolutely true.
And sometimes more if the tourist is not so interested, could be some, in Ostia, especially when you bring someone to visit the excavations, you can have very different kind of tourists, because for archaeologists it's a very famous site, and there are people passionate about archaeology and Ostia all around the world.
Yes, but it's quite difficult to find someone that is looking only for pictures, to make pictures or photos of themselves. I mean, if it's someone that is a photographer, in this way you find someone that is interested in Ostia Antica and knows it. But you will never find that kind of tourist that search for the very famous spot where you have to show with a selfie where you have been.
Yeah, so but what I mean, in my experience, but I'm sure it's also your experience, sometimes there are people who studied a lot Ostia Antica. I mean, at home, some of them it can be, and then they want to see very specific places. You have to know the site very well because it's huge, it's enormous. Okay, everyone is always surprised because it's really, really a huge.
It's also
site.
A place for religious celebration. Let us think about, for example, the Jewish community of Rome, that used to celebrate some special moments belonging to the religion. Here in Ostia, because it's the place where it's still very well preserved, one of the 5 oldest synagogues of the Mediterranean.
So you have to know very specific things on one hand, and on the other hand, there are people, of course, the average tourist just wanted to see the site, and they don't know anything about ancient Rome or anything about Ostia. So the range is very wide, and there are a lot of families also with small kids coming to Ostia that you have to entertain. But the site is good for this because it's not only an archaeological site, it's also a park, a very nice park with a lot of trees. And that's why it's also nice, for example, during the summer when Rome is really hot. And for example, a tour in the Roman Forum is hard because You don't, you know, in the forum sometimes you see people just like going to
It's
the
a
shade,
fireplace.
you know, where there is a little shade next to the temple of Julius Caesar, for example, you know, where
There's
he
never
was.
shade over there.
No, there is no shade
You have to
usually.
die,
So,
no.
and in Ostia, there is shade, and usually it's there is some wind, you know, because of because the river is close, the river Tiber, and also the beach is not too far away. So there is this nice, you know,
Nice.
wind usually.
Nice
And
climate.
but what is your favorite spot in Ostia Antica in the excavations?
Inside of the excavation.
I give you some minutes, and I will.
Because it's not easier because I love really the most everything. Like I love each corner of Ostia Antica. Maybe the side of the Mitras bath, and also the quarter that you have to be the quarter of the Greece people. So that side with the bath of the seven sea.
You are just saying the same things that I wanted to say. So these are good places.
We are one two body, one soul, and
Yeah,
that's why that's why I'm asking the support of the Marianita supporter, please, because we are too similar.
We say the same
We are not
thing.
the same, but we are too much similar.
So first of all, I want to say something about what Stefania was saying before. As my experience as a tourist guide, often it happened to me that I meet people that the reason why they get to Ostia is because they look for what to do around Rome on the web, on Google, on a search engine. And so they get to know Ostia, but before they were not even aware the fact of the existence of Ostia. But this is a thing that you clearly underlined during our presentation and during all the morning. So as you were saying, it is completely correct as my experience as well. So there are people interested in archaeology and Roman world that know Ostia very well for its importance as site, and then people that actually happen to get there for an amount of different reasons, but they are not.
Lost their flight, for example. Because
also, it's correct. Also, because it's very, very close to the international airport. So they knew one more day, they don't know what to do. So they look around and they find Ostia. So yeah, this is something that happened quite often. Now, going back to your question, what is my favorite spot in the side of Ostia Antica? So I want to say one that is obvious and one that is not. So the obvious one is the theater.
Okay.
The theater, I think, because of his huge, because it's very well preserved, because you get the idea how it is, how really it was a building for shows back then, and also for the fact that it is still in use today. So that's a very nice thing that can be linked. Back then and nowadays, a building still in function for the same purpose. Instead, maybe something a little bit less obvious than the theater, not so less obvious, but I would say the Domus of Amore and Psyche. Yeah. It's a small domus, but with so very nice decoration. And I love it because it's quite unusual to find statues along the sides. There are not that many. So that is a spot where you can see, there's a copy right now. The original is inside the museum, but it's interesting because it's one thing that you cannot usually see. Usually you see more structure, more buildings, and less statues that are not just in the Ostia Antica Museum, but in the museums all over the world, all over Rome. And so those would be the two spots I would say, yes.
But
Okay.
I have to say something, because I was joking a little bit before, even though I have to say that the Mithraeum of the Baths of Mithra is a very, very beautiful place.
Yes, it is.
And also the Bath of the seven wise men. The whole structure is very, very nice, and is usually outside the tracks, so you have to go there. And also we have to underline that in reality in Ostia there are a lot of painted houses. There are frescoes preserved, even though they are not always open, because only on special occasions or special dates those houses are open, and they cover a period which goes until the 4th century AD. So this is a big difference with Pompeii. But anyway, you know, for the state of preservation, Ostia is certainly comparable to Pompeii, because it was abandoned completely after the flood of the, after the fall of the Roman Empire, but then after the flood of the River Tiber again. So this area was abandoned, and that's why it's so well preserved. Pompeii is like frozen in the moment of the explosion of the volcano. So it's the 1st century AD. Otherwise, Ostia has a much longer history. So you can study architecture, daily life, frescoes for a longer period. So that's why it's also so important. And it was a harbor. It was not. It was also a leisure city when the new harbor was built. It became more a residential city. But it's a harbor, so a crossroads of really people coming from all over the known world. And I wanted to say something about also some very known spots, at least for us, but that are beautiful. And I would like to underline the importance of the baths of Ostia. So I think that among my favorite places, there are the baths of Nettuno. Because inside the baths there are 2 at least, or 3, but 2 can be seen very well, 2 mosaics, huge, perfectly preserved, and especially the one depicting Neptune is one of the symbols of Ostia for sure. And also the other one depicting the wife of Neptune, Amphitrite. So these mosaics are about the wedding of Neptune and Amphitrite. And in order to see the mosaic, you have to go on the 1st floor of the baths. And this is what I like. So you go on the 1st floor, and you have a view of the mosaic, this huge mosaic, and you have a view of a part of the city from the top of the stairs, let's say. So you see the buildings.
And this is one of the things that I have to say is very beautiful to experience in Ostia. So, when you have the occasion to rise up, to stay and to climb some steps and reach the top of the terraces, and from where to have a view, a panoramic view over the over the river. Where the river, you find the river at least on the back of the Capitolium, so the Foro, the central area of the city. At least you find back this river that until that moment we lost, because of the movement, the moving, the shift of the river bank. So that this is very beautiful. This is a great experience each time that now from the top of the Tirsa, from the terrace of the. Also, once there was also there are many other terraces all the way around inside in the middle of the city. Also, there was the possibility to reach the top of the bath of the 7 wise men. Over there, this caseggiato, this insula or multi-store apartment was provided with terraces that since a few years is closed, unfortunately. But I think I suppose because they are going to do a lot of things. Now they are through these last years. We saw many moments of reconstruction, restoration. So from the
And then another thing, which is also famous in reality, but I think we should underline the importance of the area of the Via della Casa di Diana, of the insula, the apartment building of Diana, so called, very close to the Forum, where you can see perfectly preserved ancient apartment buildings. This is almost unique because they were usually destroyed, but this is where normal
last
people
Sunday was open.
and the Casa di Diana is very nice also inside with mosaics and frescoes and
But the
even an atrium, the fountains.
The fountain is perfectly preserved.
You can see really the structures and you can imagine how people lived in that period. So I think that one of my favorite spots is also the house of Diana, so called, in this nice street where there is the famous Thermopolium, which was the fast food of the center of Ostia. There are many, but this is particularly well preserved with frescoes too and mosaics too, and a big dolium, so the fridge of ancient times. And so I mean, just like this, we don't know where to start because it's really
This is just the beginning. Then this afternoon,
oh
we're
yeah. So
talk more about all
now
the
without
sites of
pictures,
Antica.
so hopefully you get curious. And so what just another question.
Yes, please.
I'm like interviewing, and
Yes,
so you
please.
think about that too. Do you what is your experience with tourists? Is there something funny or strange that happened to you, or that you would like to say to something interested in the tourist sector here in the area?
But it was something that we was talking already, the people that is walking until the archaeological park, they arrive over there, then you start to talk about the city, to talk about the river, the life of the river and the sea, this real special relationship. And then you say yes, because the huge castle on the back, and they immediately look at you and say, which castle? And it's over there. You can see it. Really? We didn't saw it. We don't see it. Why? And then they are totally surprised, I have to say, for the size also of the city. What they don't expect to see a so huge city in this area. They suppose that everything has to be most probably just 2 columns, the Tiesa. They know that have to be the Tiesa. But exactly how much is big the city, they don't know. They don't really imagine how big have to be. And there are all those people that I accompany in this adventure at the end of the tour, after almost 3 hours, because at least just to taste a little bit of the city, just going here and there in order to have an idea of the city, or an ancient city of Rome. This is the great things. Now that you have the occasion to understand really how the common people used to live at that time in Rome. At least after 3 hours, they are totally amazed, and they are really surprised and happy to be there, to have this experience.
I would, because we are running out of time in reality, so I just wanted to add something. Maybe I will introduce, and then maybe Margherita can say something. I'm sure. Don't get nervous, because I'm sure you know about this. Another interesting thing is that there is a series of books settled in Ostia, books for kids, the Roman mysteries, so-called, by a writer called Caroline Lawrence. And these books are very, very nice, and they are quite famous in the English-speaking world, but not really in Italy. This is the very, very strange thing, because those books are translated in like 16 languages, and but they are currently not reprinted in Italy. And the first book of the series is called The Thieves of Ostia. And the protagonist is a young girl called Flavia Gemina. So you can have a look on the internet on the Roman mysteries. The books are really nice, are very well written. You can understand a lot about the ancient Roman world. And so some people come here to Ostia to visit the set of the books. And I think you, Maria Rita, you once there was someone coming directly from London.
Yes, yes,
Who
yes,
was it? Do you remember
yes,
this or?
yes. So let's say that among all the places, as again, I am talking as a tourist guide. So among all the places that you can visit in Rome, Ostia Antica is one of the places that I think is most attractive for kids, because it's open, it's wide, it's a park, like you were saying. So it's not difficult to visit Ostia Antica with kids, but it's not only not difficult to visit that with the kids, it's also very interesting and fun, because ancient Romans, it's a thing that usually kids, it's more easy to entertain them with the ancient Roman stuff, maybe than compare with, I don't know, about the Renaissance or the painting or that kind of stuff. So it was always very fun and entertaining all the time that we had families with kids traveling with us in Ostia Antica. Those books that you were talking about are very famous in the UK, mainly, but all the English-speaking countries. Is set, so it's a series. The first is set on Ostia Antica because the main characters lived in Ostia Antica. And so, because there were not once, but more than once, not that many, but more than once, there were families coming because they read the books. And so even if some of the places, such as the protagonist house, is not exactly one of the buildings in Ostia Antica, all the other buildings where because it's a mystery, so there's a mystery going on, they have to discover something. All the other buildings that they visit are actually buildings in Ostia. So they talk about the harbor, the slave market, the forum, the synagogue, the Jewish synagogue, the lighthouse, even if it's in the imperial harbor of Claudius and Trajan, the Thermopolium, the necropolis, the graveyards area. So everything starts there. So even if not exactly the character house, but all the other buildings, we can exactly track them on the map and go to visit them. So it's very, very fun for kids. Another a series of books very famous about the ancient Roman and Greek mythology are the Percy Jackson books.
Oh, yeah.
So this is not about Ostia Antica, it's about the ancient Roman and Greek mythologies, but those are also books that usually kids have read. So they come with a lot of knowledge about the ancient mythology because of those books. So it's very fun for them to see temples of the gods they were talking about. So it's very, very interesting also for this reason.
That's true. Also, in my experience, I don't know if they. Thank you very much, because this is also a very, very important point. Percy Jackson helps us, and sometimes the kids, they know more than the parents.
Of course, many times they know more than.
Okay, so I think that I don't know if there are questions, but I don't see anything in the chat, and so I think that we can stop here. I hope you enjoyed our first webinar. So we are going to come back at 2:30 later today with Ostia Antica and the Imperial Harbors and many things more to say. And this time, Maria Rita will be our virtual guide. So, okay, thank you very much, everybody. And I will stop recording and bye.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. Ok, interrompi la registrazione.